retreat. And I was able to contact Dr. Implement, who has facilitated in the past. I know that the board appreciates his work with our district, and he has agreed to do so through ASBA because they will provide some materials and so forth for our district. And so the date that I'm recommending is September 24th, which is a Saturday from 8 to noon, because that's works within his schedule. And I didn't, when I asked the board for possible dates, no one had any conflicts at that date, with that date. And then I also had requested possible topics, and I think much of it was centered around board roles and responsibilities, as well as the mission and vision of the district, where we see the district moving forward in a 5-year capacity, as well as just what is the direction of the district. So if there's any other topics, I welcome that now, and if the 24th works, the board can also make a motion to set the date as the 24th.
Thank you. Discussion from the board, Ms. Fobia?
No discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vanderbilt?
I'm looking forward to it very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes?
Same, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be interesting tonight.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Verdugo and Ms. Olive for putting everything together, sending out the emails, and finalizing the date with Dr. Clement. I think that's going to be really good. I've always admired Dr. Clement's work as well, as you know. I think he'll do a great job, and I look forward to the topics and having Mr. Shadler there, right? As well. So I think it's going to be a great time to bring some of the trainings that some of us have been attending down to those of us who haven't been able to attend. Do I hear a motion to accept the governing board retreat as September the 24th, from 8 to noon, and it will be in the governing board room? So moved.
Second.
Yes, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries. Item number 6, information, discussion, and possible action to approve the governing board's 2016 maintenance and operation override pro statement. Mr. Verdugo.
Yes, our management team met together because we wanted to provide the pro statement draft for the board and obviously take input from the board. I just wanted to clarify for the board that it is a 200-word limit. So trying to take all of the committee recommendations and making sure that it matched with what is going to be in the board pamphlet is very difficult. And so we tried to wordsmith as much as possible, combining words, taking down SCVUSD 35 to make it into one word, just so that we can keep the essence of the committee's work, but also make sure that the pro statement says what we want it to say. And so again, we provide it to the board as a draft. It's up to you to accept it, modify it. Again, as one said, to remind the board, it has to be within 200 words. And right now, it's exactly 200 words. And so it was again a large process for us to whittle it down. But again, we will take any recommendations from the board.
Okay, thank you. Discussion, Ms. Fobia?
I'm not familiar with putting a comma when the date is put this way, the 26th day of July. I'm not used to a comma being there before the year date. I know it's petty, but if somebody could check it on.
Sure. I leave it up to the.
And there is a good name, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's it.
Okay, Mr. Vanderbilt.
One observation, or two perhaps. In the second paragraph, to enhance the following programs, you mentioned K-8 library media. I believe in the same sense you should, on the upper section where it says high school 912 library, you should should put 912 library / media center, because we've all, with the decision of the board and the administration, the library is not just a library, but a media, I don't know what you call it. We need to expand that. A little bit more.
We will see if we slash it and add it to it, if it doesn't change the word. Hopefully should not.
Trade it for the comment.
Yes, we're going to trade it for the comment.
May I make another observation?
Yes, go ahead.
If you want to eliminate a word, sir, in the last paragraph, our district cannot sustain continued budget reductions without affecting the quality of education. You can eliminate the word being.
That would work.
Good.
Anything else, Mr. Randall?
Not this time, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes?
Couple of items I thought of, just remembering back to English, get rid of the forms of the verb to be. In the, I guess that would be technically the fourth paragraph, second sentence, while resources have decreased significantly due to state budget cuts, Santa Cruz Valley 35 has continued to be fiscally responsible. That could be shortened to remains fiscally responsible. And that would give you several more words that you can use elsewhere, because there are a couple of sentences that just, I don't know, they just have a slight clunkiness to them, and I don't know what it is offhand that's doing it. And then also in that same sentence, and put, it should be puts, not put student needs first. It puts student needs first. I think
That
would be-
was placed.
Yeah.
Placed, maybe? Placed? Has continued
Yeah.
and placed. Reverse have to now.
And I think in the next sentence, it would be work instead of worked, because work would indicate that's what we used to do, not what we do.
Let the English major speak.
No, I'm just a lowly geologist, so.
Just a question though,
Yeah.
I like you said, Mr. Hayes, about to be verbs and whatnot. So has SCVUSD remains fiscally responsible or continues fiscal responsibility? And I didn't know if the board felt strongly about remain versus continues from a voter point of view, which does one seem more proactive? We
That's
remain
true.
or continue?
And I actually have both ways written down on my paper. I just,
Proactive. We want to be proactive.
I think we should be trying to come off as proactive. We're trying to be proactive. We want to.
To me, continues conveys that more. Remains feels like we're,
You kind of finished.
yeah, I don't know, it's just a vibe thing, I don't know.
We could vote.
Well, that's what we're doing. It's an action item.
I mean, one of the things, before I heard the 200-word limit, one of the things in there that I thought of, if we could find a way to put it in there was, just to say how the tax rate has changed over the last, because the tax rate is down, based on that graph, we have more than 50% over a period of time. So it's, somehow, to me, that is a tidbit of information the taxpayer should know, is that, the tax rates have fallen by a large percentage over the course of the last several years.
It sounds Columbus-y to me. That was yeah, Columbus-y. He endeavored to find it in the law.
So that continues fiscal responsibility this time.
So what we can do is we can have two drafts. come back at our next board meeting.
We still have time?
If
You
so,
still have time?
yes,
All
because it's
right.
not due until August 12th.
So the board will direct Mr. Shadler to come up with 2 versions.
So,
Or three.
yeah, if we do have a special, if the board
Sure.
chooses to have a special meeting next week, we can have it ready for that special meeting.
And then just one last one that I had on here was, our district cannot, I've rewritten that to our district cannot sustain further budget reductions without affecting the quality of education. That's what we talked about.
Okay. Is that agreeable with the board, that we direct Mr. Shadler to come up with several revisions, and we can look at them for a special meeting, if we vote on it? All right. Pressure. All right. Thank you. All right, so then we will move on to item number 7, which is information, discussion, and possible action to schedule a special telephonic board meeting.
No.
No.
We
Usually,
number
I think it's
seven.
number 6.
New number 7.
Yeah, new number 7, sorry. Yeah, for 8/3/2016 at 8 o'clock a.m. Discussion, Mr. Hayes?
To the best of my knowledge, I should be available.
Will you, just for my own information, will you be attending in person or telephonically?
Right now, my plan would be to attend personally.
Mr. Vanderbilt?
I will be out of town that particular day, after Mr. Brown or something.
Okay. So Mr. Vanderbilt will most likely attend telephonically. Mrs. Fobie?
We'll be attending telephonically, and I truly hope that this time goes smoothly.
Make sure we're not on hold.
Thank you.
And I will be attending telephonically, so we will check with Mrs. Simpson. Okay. Do I hear a motion to schedule a special telephonic and/or in-person board meeting for 8/3/2016 at 8 o'clock a.m.?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And motion passes. New number 8, information, discussion, and possible action to award superintendent's performance-based pay for completion of the 2015-2016 superintendent's goals. Mr. Verdugo.
Yes, thank you, Mr. You're back. He was here, I was saying, this Dominic's recommendation. That's it. As you know, the state, when they approved performance-based pay, they made a requirement of superintendents to have a portion of their salary be performance-based. And so tonight will be actually the first time that we're going through that process, and I have chosen to make it a public versus a executive session, because the majority of the goals that we set were set with the district in mind, and for me it's always uncomfortable when you are trying to sort of brag about what you're doing, but I do enjoy bragging about the district. Again, performance-based pay is something that the state required of superintendent contracts. And it's up to 10% of the salary. And what I tried to do when we met with the board was discuss what is fair. Because although, again, my salary is in the lower end, this is intended to be part of the salary. And so when we met, we discussed the possibility of up to an $8,000 increase, which I felt was fair comparatively with all the other superintendents that had actually their 10%, which would be anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000. I didn't think our district could sustain that, and so looking at our budget and looking at what the salary averages were, I tried to be fair with that. So with that said, what I tried to do is work with the board to decide on goals that I think fit with the district. There we go. And match with what our 4 board ends are. And so what I did was, when we worked with the board to come up with this plan, is we looked at the 4 board ends and tied my goals and really the district goals together. And so the first one is student achievement and accountability. And the goal was all centered by school sites will demonstrate growth on the AZ Merit Assessment in English, language arts, math, and science. And the results are in, but I'm not going to share the specific results for each site because we will do that through the CIP, and I felt the principals would be more adequate to discuss what their plans were, why the scores came out the way they did. But what I will share with you is what the improvement was, because that was the goal. And so if you look at the ELA scores for the grades 3 through 11 district-wide, and what I did was each grade level for each site represented a number, and so there were 18 if you take the grade levels and all the sites together. So grade 3, 4, 5 at the elementary levels that were assessed, and then the 3 sites, so it comes up with a number of 18. So there were 18 opportunities for improvement. And in our district, 11 of the 18 grade levels and sites improved. All of it, that looks positive. It wasn't something that I felt was on par with what our district represents. I think that we have that area that we need to continually improve, because that's what we're based on. And if we had letter grades, I don't know what our letter grade would be, because there are many factors that go into that. But looking at the number of improvement, it's only a D level. And so that to me was below average. You look at the AZ Merit in math, same 12 of 18 were improved, which is great for our math scores, because generally our language arts does better than math. And math is now back to being a strength for our district in a lot of sites. In science, 3 of the 5 opportunities, which is grade 4 and grade 8 were assessed, improved this year. Actually, there should be more to that. I don't know if you can't see the... And there were, we looked at, I also looked at the number of sites that were above the state average, because that's also part of that. And we had 9 of the 18 grade levels and opportunities that were above the state average. So we did have about 50% of our opportunities that were above the state average. So based on that, my goal 1 determination and my recommendation to the board, because again, this is us discussing, I just didn't feel that as a district, based on what we have been working towards, that we had the improvement that I would say we were successful. I'm not saying that the district wasn't successful as a whole, but I'm saying as the goal itself, because I think we need to be, you know, as I said, we want to be the best district in Arizona. And to hold myself accountable to that, I would recommend that I receive a 0 as far as the compensation goes for that goal. So any questions on goal 1?
Any questions, Mr. Hayes?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Vanderbilt?
No, thank you.
Mrs. Cobian?
No questions.
The only thing I have to say is I admire you wanting to do this in public and be very transparent and not try to gloss things over. This way that everybody knows we're all on the same page. And like I said, everybody knows it, and you're very honest with everyone. You're not trying to say, hey, well, yeah, I deserve it, even though, you know, nothing went up. So I admire you for that, and that's one of the reasons why I think you're doing a great job. Even though, like you said, we can do better. But it shows right there, the recommendation is did not meet the goal, and you set the bar for yourself. So thank you for that.
Thank you. So goal 2 was the high quality staff. I know that's something that when we get to the consent agenda tonight, there are some questions about long-term substitutes and so forth. We have worked really, really hard. I know that everybody knows that the climate that we're in statewide as far as hiring teachers. I mean, I just talked to somebody the other day, and there's still roughly 1,200 positions in southern Arizona that have not been filled. And so to where we're at. To Mr. Benner's point, yes, we do have a lot of long-term substitutes, but I think we have people in place, which in some places they don't have anybody, and then they're getting a little bit nervous. But that doesn't stop us from being accountable again. And so we are working really hard to try to get people in. I think we've done, you know, as Mr. Fanning represented in the news segment, that we have worked really hard. He's done a really good job of recruiting. Our principals, HR, everybody has worked really hard to recruit and retain. And again, I think I mentioned to the board that we are coming up with some innovative ways to try to recruit and retain staff. One of them was the moving stipend. And we were able to get all the people that traveled from Illinois were able to receive their moving stipend, which was a help to them. Again, we're out of state recruiting. We were able to give a pay increase and a sustained pay increase because there was a lot of districts that did it as a one-time payment. And we modified a lot of salaries this year because it's not only teachers, but it's staff in general. The insurance coverage, we were able to make sure that we sustain that for our staff. So we're doing a lot of things to retain staff and try to get people here. Again, we are working hard. There is one thing that I did mention during the superintendent's report, that there are some that may on tonight's agenda in the future be modified because the state just released from ADE that they are now allowing emergency teaching certificates. So not a substitute certificate, but an actual teaching certificate. That practice has stopped for a period of time, but now they are allowing a person with a bachelor's degree can go into a classroom and be classified as a regular teacher for up to 3 years, as long as they're moving towards trying to become a certified teacher. So that is something that on that list there are numerous individuals that have completed a bachelor's degree, have taken their education classes, but already haven't been able to pass the assessment or are working towards that or completing that. So those will actually be able to be moved to a certified teacher for up to 3 years. So that will change that number, that the long-term substitute possibility will reduce those numbers. But with that, it's still, again, not where we want it to be, and we're going to continue to work and come up with innovative ways to hire new people, recruit new people, and again, retain people, because that's an important piece of what we're doing is keeping people, because we do invest a lot. So the goal determination, my recommendation is that our ability to meet 100% certified teachers, that it is in approaches. I believe that it's not, we didn't fully meet the goal, but we improved from the previous year significantly, and I think that goal is hopefully in the next year going to improve again. So the approach is the goal, is the recommendation. Any questions?
Questions, Mrs. Fobian?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vanderbilt?
Thank you.
Mr. Hayes?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Verdugo, may I continue?
Goal number 3 is school climate. So provide a safe, orderly, vibrant, respectful campuses, including efficient, well-maintained facilities, and just improve the climate overall. And this is something that I'm very proud of in the 2 years, and I can't believe it has been 2 years that I've been superintendent, heading into the third. It just seemed like yesterday that I was being approved here. But we've worked really hard at a lot of different things, including having me be directly responsible for facilities and maintenance. I think I'm one of the only superintendents that I know that directly oversees facilities and maintenance. And partly because people know that that's one of the things that I really want our sites to look manicured. I want that curb appeal. I want our students to have the best to be taken care of, our teachers to be taken care of when there's issues. Has it been to the level we want? Not yet, but we're getting there. But we've also had other enhancements within the district. Walking path, we improved that. We were able to get a grant for that. Removal of the portables in Mountain View that were falling apart, we were able to remove those. Emergency access to San Cayetano, we were able to get that put in place. The training facility, the Calabasas improvements with the sidewalks and drainage issues, we still have some, but we're getting there with those improvements. The Welcome Center relocation and moving that together, the preschool. grass and weed care, we've improved that greatly. Updated our emergency plans district-wide. One thing that I'm really proud of that improved our climate, I believe, is our all-district welcome back. Because bringing our district together as one is, to me, a big highlight. And it starts the year correctly. And we don't have a classified, we don't have a certified, we are all together. And knowing that the bus driver or the kitchen staff is just as important as me. And so that they make a difference in our district. So that's one of the things that I think has improved our climate, which I put our district education. And then I shared with the board last week my survey results, and I was very happy to have a 97% effective, highly effective rating, which was an improvement from the 90% last year. So I was very happy with that. I still have that one person that rated me ineffective. I'm going to try to convince them somehow. Whoever that is, that one person, I'm working hard. We'll try to convert you if you're still in the district. We'll try to get there. Continue with the school climate. There is a second portion of that goal, which is to provide opportunities for students, enrichment activities, and a lot of the things that we've been working on, expansion of the alternative education program, enrichment opportunities, more labs at the high school, and now moving to the middle school. AP assessment expansion, we require all of our students to take the AP assessment because we pay for it as a district, and so that's important. CTE support, we're going to continue to make sure that we provide those opportunities, including, I think the fish farm is now up and running. Close?
Close.
Okay.
We had our first egg though from chicken.
And the chicken ranch, which the chicken ranch was a 2-year process. From the first day that I became superintendent, I was in my office and I got these plans from Mr. McPherson saying we're going to have this chicken ranch. And now 2 years later, we have 1 egg.
So which came first?
Elementary science, things that we've really worked hard to modify some of our programs and implement creative things. So we're going to have an elementary science program. And then with the fiscal challenges that we have, we still try to maintain our co-curricular programs with band, art. Even though music has changed a little bit now to the science, we've really tried to maintain our co-curricular programs. As I mentioned, mathematics, including now we have 4 elective classes that will be filled, and we are on schedule to receive the new advanced lab, which is $350,000 lab. So we've really worked hard to, again, add more options. Healthy school grant for our elementary counselors. The 21st Century grant application, again, we were notified that Rio High School and Calabasas are now added to Guatemala and Mountain View to have that after-school program. And then the A+ application, again, was awarded to San Gaetano and Calabasas, or Guatemala this last year, so now, which was for the second time. So we have a lot of positive things happening within our district. And my determination was that, for me, this has been one of my strengths, that I feel we've really tried to bring the district together and improve the area of climate, and so that I recommend that it meets the goal, which is $2,000. So any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Hayes?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Vanderhook?
No, thank you.
Mrs. Hogan?
No questions, thank you.
No question.
And then the final goal is the community involvement. Again, this is one other area that I really tried to work hard for the district. The district, the goal is to sustain a strong parent-community business relationship. And it took me 2 pages, and I didn't realize, I shared with Mr. Shaller, as I kept going, because I didn't realize how many things that not only am I part of, but my staff is part of, that we participated in. One of the first things that we did was create the business advisory group, which we've now meet quarterly versus monthly. I try to attend as many school site events. This past year, I did 30 community and civic group presentations. 22 were the override, but 8 other presentations about the district to different groups, talking about, again, I love to brag about the district. I don't want to brag about myself, but I definitely love to brag about the work that our district is doing. membership of the Santa Cruz County Superintendent's Consortium, which I am actually the representative